Hey everybody, this has appeared on my Twitter page today. It's from the Archbishop of Canterbury from his account, and this is the post, and this is the sermon that is his Christmas sermon, and I'm just looking at the public responses to it. Apparently this is a public that's voted by a landslide for Boris Johnson. Okay. If you sold 1/10 of your church's assets, you could provide homes for thousands of people. Isn't that what Jesus would have done? Didn't he exhort the rich to give up their wealth if they truly wanted to follow him? Or have you conveniently forgotten that bit? Pity you actively support Reichsfuhrer Johnson and the criminal cabal of associates he has. There is nothing Christian coming from an archbishop that condones a government culling its own citizens for practically a decade. 690,219 so far and rising. You enabled the election of a racist and homophobic MP and an austerity-driven anti-immigrant government. Please just go away now. And it goes on and on and on and on and on and on. Just chaplain to the 1%. As Christians, you took a man who Jesus would have supported and smeared him again for the establishment. Absolute disgrace. Is his name Boris now? Because I can't trust a church who believe blatant lies that were uttered during the election about Labour and our leader. And I've shared my experience here. Here, Mr. Welby, light being. I witnessed the event and received the message of universal law of abundance in compassion. Me, a poor person. And what's yours and the church response? Ignorance, total ignorance, for 27 years. I contacted them before he was Archbishop, the previous Archbishop, and now this Archbishop. And how many? Really, I gave up trying. It is a waste of time talking about light being as, an impoverished CSA survivor. You might as well just be talking to a brick wall. But, I've shared it here, and I ask anybody, you listen to the first 15, 20 minutes of this video. You don't need to listen to the whole video. I mean, it is a long video. I'm talking about some pretty important stuff here. But, listen to the first part where I describe my experience in detail. It wasn't a vision, it was an event. It was an event, and it was a communication. A communication that has prime significance and importance for the people of Earth. Okay? But nobody wants to hear it because apparently it's not in the right body. I'm not the right body. One, I should have had a dick probably. Okay? And second, I'm not the Archbishop of Canterbury. So, I'm not allowed to talk about universal intelligence. My place is what? Oh, I'm a natural born cleaner, aren't I? That's my place in society. 27 years having to live with that level of knowledge, with that level of light and understanding, and just be totally persecuted and oppressed and judged and scorned, even by my own family and friends, even persuading my son to believe that I was mad, even myself at one point. But I know that what I experienced was not an episode of madness. It was not a psychotic episode. I'm not one that has psychotic episodes. And how dare actually anybody say that it was, and yet live in a world then that tolerates this piece of filth that isn't even halfway meeting what Jesus stood for. But that's okay. He can sit in the church. The Queen can get crowned by him. The Archbishop of Canterbury. God apparently has blessed her. But, God doesn't. When it comes to a poor person who's actually lived, who has real experiences and real connections to the people living on the ground, who understands what is going on, because I'm a field worker. I work in the field. I don't sit there in Eton, in my privileged education, reading books about God and what people think of God. God came to me. Universal intelligence. No respect after your intervention on the side of a Tory anti-Labour campaign dressed up as anti-Semitism. Standing with Tories has shown people who you really are and what you think. All credibility as a so-called Christian has gone. You know, look, come on. This is, again, I remind people, this is supposed to be from a public that has just voted by a landslide for Boris Johnson, right? Do you get even a whiff of that here? Do you get a whiff of that? The sweet smell of hypocrisy lingers in the air. It's the same message every year. The people who can change things don't listen. The Archbishop of Smears. Hope? There is no hope, but at least you paid your part in that. Faux Christian says what? OK, Tory. As you said quite clearly when you disgracefully intervened in the general election, sod the poor, screw the disadvantaged, vote for the fascists. You intervened so as to help a man who hurts the vulnerable and spreads hate, lies and division, secure power, and you've spread a distortion which covers for apartheid. You are not fit. You know, it just goes on and on and on. You know, where is the voice of support here? Because this is Twitter. Nobody's gathered these people, right? This is just random members of the public on Twitter. You should never have joined in the Zionist hate of a good and decent man. It will be remembered for the rest of your life. Jesus was on the side of the homeless, the occupied and the dispossessed. You, sir, are part of the establishment elite. Spent your pieces of silver now, Judas. Yeah, right. And it goes on and on and on and on. You attack the one good man that could have made a difference by lying about him and spreading false information. You have put the poor, homeless, disabled and handicapped in danger by supporting Boris Johnson. You're a disgrace. Yes, but he earns a fortune, so he's sorted. Just in fine words, butter, no parsnips, Welby, Archbishop of Hot Air. As Christians, we're supposed to follow the example of Christ like Jeremy Corbyn does. You talk of the talk, but unlike your hero, Jesus, you don't walk the walk. Gus John was right. You are beyond pointless. And it goes on. You attack the only man who would have stopped the suffering we now see in this country. So save me your love of Jesus crap. Your intervention during the general election was not Christian and went against the teachings of Jesus Christ. You are a pillar of the Conservative establishment, helping Johnson keep the plebs in line. You're a hypocrite and a disgrace, though I don't know what else could have been expected of an Eton-educated former oil company executive. Former oil company executive. Well, it's no wonder he totally ignored me, isn't it? But you know, I gave everything. After I'd had that experience, I gave away all my possessions. I actually was homeless for over a year. I really, really tried my best to get it out. I went, what can I say? And I've spent all my life before that experience and after that experience standing up against racism, for human rights, for children's rights, animal rights. I'm a vegan. You know, it's like living in this society. I have been isolated. I have literally been a prisoner of consciousness. That's what I've been. That's what it's like living in this world. It is like living, you know, being forced to live in a corner of your life. That's me. I'm just in a corner. Because, you know, when you've had an experience like that, and, you know, after that, for years, I was, what can I say? I was in confusion because I was just so alone, so depressed, so aggrieved, so angry, so upset, just absolutely disgusted. Disgusted. And even to the point, I've actually been angry with the light being. Like, you know, why did you come to me? Why show yourself to me? Why? Why do it? What was the point? I don't understand, you know what I mean? What is the point of showing yourself to somebody like me, giving me the message of universal law of abundance and compassion? And then to do what? To do what? I can't live a normal, what's considered a normal life in this world. Because, well, how can I live a normal life? Some things change you. Experiences change people. But not being believed, that is the worst. You know, to not be believed. And people didn't believe me about the child abuse for a long time. And now people don't believe me about the light being. And if you don't believe me, then you don't believe in yourself. Because the light being is for everybody. So, you know, we're lost. We're absolutely lost. We're lost. Thanks to him, to people like him. And the Zionists. And you Zionists, you are all going to the void. You know, I am warning you because you have this one life to change, to repent and change. Okay? And you don't do it. You carry on with your mad crap Greater Israel project. You know, all the lands that you're seizing, all polluted with depleted uranium. That has what is it? A 5 billion year half-life? Yeah. Enjoy. I'm sure your great-great-great-grandchildren, deformed and disabled, will be all thanking the Zionists, who are apparently supreme supremacists, apparently superior people, creating materials that actually produce inferior DNA on our planet, messing up DNA, polluting Jah's DNA. That's what we get from these evil fascists. And now my whole country's been taken over by them. My whole country. Even, you know, now MI5 have given themselves all the rights to do, you know, as Netanyahu does in Israel. They can kill, they can murder, they can kidnap. It's all perfectly legal. Here you go. MI5 agents can commit serious crimes like murder and torture, tribunal rules. Lawful. Apparently they're giving themselves an implied power under the Security Services Act 1989. You know, the act that actually should have given them powers to arrest Boris Johnson and seriously investigate the Israel lobby for what they've done to our country with their evil. So, you know, to me, this is evidence of the rigged election. That's what this is. It's evidence of the rigged election. Evidence of the Antichrist. That's him, the Antichrist. That's who he serves, the Antichrist. The Queen, she is a whore, okay? That is what the crown is right now. It's a whore. That's what it is. It's selling. The people of Britain are going to be literally pushed over the edge of a cliff. And what for? For the whore's crown territory tax havens, isn't it? That's what it's all about. You know, the tax havens where they don't do democracy. Foreign powers, foreign lands. The Queen, the Crown, is an agent of foreign powers because this is a European nation and we're in the EU and the Crown tax haven territories are not. And that's what this is about protecting, isn't it? Their money and their power. And that's who you were standing up for, Justin Welby. How dare you talk about Jesus? Well, I tell you now, you will be trembling in fear before this long night is out. Because that's what we are in at the moment. And the darker it gets, the brighter I will shine. Because Jah light is in me. And everybody who can touch that, who can join in that, we will shine. Because Jah is with us. And you have turned your back on Jesus. You've turned your back on humanity. And you've turned your back on our planet. And shame on you. Shame on your church. Shame on the so-called Queen of England. The great whore is what she is. Because that's who she has chosen. She has chosen to abandon, to break her solemn oath, her coronation oath before God. And she has abandoned the laws and traditions of her people in favour of supporting and defending the criminal powers that her Crown territory tax havens are serving. And that is who you are supporting. And that's why you are a total hypocrite. And, you know, what can I say? As an individual guy, I know that people's lives are through circumstances. You were born rich. I was born poor. Stuff happens. That's why Jesus offers forgiveness. Repent. Take back your criminal activities. Repent. And you will be forgiven. But no, you're too stuck up to do that, aren't you? Because you're too... That is the problem. Is that these people think that they are superior to God. They really do. He thinks he owns God. Right? Well, you don't. And I'm here to explain that to you. And I'm here to explain to the people that Jah is for us. Jah always came for us. These people steal from us. And I stand with Muslims. I dreamt of Prophet Muhammad had same golden light coming out of his skin. I stand with Prophet Isaiah. I stand with true Jews. I stand with Muslims. Everybody who can, even people who don't believe in God, but who nonetheless believe in our human rights, believe in intelligence, believe in sanity, care about our planet. But meanwhile, we've got this set of monsters going around, revelations in one hand, ticking them off. Oh yeah, destroy 2/3 of the earth, destroy 2/3 of humanity. You know, we're fulfilling the prophecies. We're fulfilling the prophecies, they're saying. Revelations, giving themselves rights to deliver death and destruction on our planet. They're fulfilling revelations. Why? Because they're a set of idiots, that's why. Because, you know, the people of Nineveh, on receiving a dreadful prophecy, did they all set about giving themselves powers to kill people and destroy the planet on the strength of the evil prophecy? No, they didn't. They all fell down on their knees and begged forgiveness and said, no, we don't want that prophecy, please. We're going to live lawfully. We're going to care for each other. We're going to live like you wanted us to live, Yahweh. We're going to follow your law. Did the prophecy happen? No, it didn't. Absolute evil, disgusting, despicable. What can I say? There's no hope, humanity. Look, I am who I am for a reason. For an ordinary person, to help people to understand that once and for all, God does not bless the rich. God does not want their gold. He wants Jah, he, she as well. She, he, she. Read it in Genesis. Just wants you to love the children. Just wants you to love your planet. To care for each other. Is that too much to ask? Instead, we've got to build the kind of world where trumped up individuals like this support a set of thieves, criminal cabal murderers. In the name of God. And you Jewish people, kick these Zionists out. They are not Jews. They're not Jews. They're running a protection racket. We've seen it. We've witnessed it. How they feed the far right. The far right, they're all Zionists, aren't they? And what did they feed? Far right extremism against Jews. Against real Jews. People who care. People who love their neighbour. People who love the children. People who love the planet. And these Zionists are a set of liars. And I have warned you all, you people. You will be in terror. You will face the terror from within of what you have done to the people and the life of this planet.